Hello everyone. I hope everything is great. So today we will discuss about the HTML forms. So before discussing about the HTML forms, first we discuss what are the forms and what is the use of these forms. So as you use the forms in daily use, like for filling some bank forms, when you apply for some jobs, you need to fill some forms. So what is the forms? Form may be a container in which there are multiple form elements available, like the first name, last name, your father's name, as well as other your personal details. So you need to fill the form. Maybe you use the offline mode or maybe you use the online mode. In both the cases you need to fill some form for the application, or when you open a new account in the bank, then also you need to fill some form. So all these the example of forms. So how we create the forms for the online purpose? We use the HTML forms for these things, right? So HTML forms are basically the container that have multiple form elements, and by use of this HTML forms we provide facility to the user so that they can fill the details, fill their personal details, then submit that form, and according to their personal details we will process the things. Maybe we can create their account, or maybe we can create their profile, right? So today we will discuss the HTML forms. So here I just create one HTML file with name htmlforms.html. Also I open this file in the browser. So let's first create the heading forms and add the definition of forms. So we can say HTML forms are the container of multiple form elements. So basically the forms is the container that can have multiple form elements. So let's whenever you log into any of the website, you need to fill some form. You need to write your username, or it may be your email ID, it may be your mobile number. Then you need to write your password and tap on the login button. Then you can log in into a specific website. So that is the, I think, the good example of the form. We, I think, daily use this form, right? So let's today discuss only a simple login form. Okay, so what is the syntax of HTML forms? Basically, we use the form tag, and this is the closing, sorry, form tag, and inside this we can add multiple form elements. We can add multiple form elements here. So this is the basic syntax, and as this is the container, this is not visible in the form. So if I add the form tag here, then nothing will be visible into the browser because this is only the container. Now there are multiple form elements available in HTML. We will discuss one by one. So let's first discuss the input form element. So what is the input form element? So by input you can provide facility to the user so that They can enter some text into the form, or maybe they can select some choice, available choice with the radio buttons or checkbox buttons, right? So this tag provide this facility. So let's try this. So what I did, I simply add the input tag here. This tag does not have the closing tag. We can add simple forward slash at the end of this thing. Save, go to browser and refresh. You can see one box is visible here. What is this box? We will say this as the text input, and from here user can enter some value. He can enter some text, he can add some number, he can also add some special symbols, anything as he want. So this is the default behavior of input form element, right? And as you can see, this have some default styling as it have a default width, and also when I focus on this, the borders are in the blue state. When this is not in the focus, then the border color are the different. We can also customize all these styling with the styles with the using the css, maybe internal, external or inline css. We will discuss that thing in the next videos. Today we will discuss only about the html elements, right? So this is the default behavior. Now this input form element have one attribute which is the type attribute. When I add this, the possible values of this type attribute are multiple. Like as you can see, there are multiple options available: button, checkbox, color, date time, email. And according to this type attribute, this input element behaves in the browser. So let me add the text value, which is the default value for this type attribute. So if I am saving this form and go to browser, refresh, so nothing difference we can see in the browser because this is the default behavior of the type of this input form element. Even now user can enter the same thing. We can change multiple things into here, but today we will just create a simple login form. So let's do that. Now as you can see, we are not or we can say user does not know that what is for this input element, what he need to write into this input element. So we will provide some information so that he know that what things he can write in this input box. So for this we have one html element which is the label element. This element have the closing tag, and let's I give the user name. Okay, so that user know that we need to write the username. If I go to the browser, refresh, you can see now user know that this input represent the username. Username, this label HTML element have one attribute which is the for attribute. So this attribute tells the HTML that this label is added for which HTML element, and what is the value of this for. As we earlier discussed, we have the ID attribute for every HTML element. Let me add this uname. Now if I give the same value to the for, then that means this label is for the input element that have the ID uname, right? Let me save, go to browser, refresh. Same way We copy these two lines and paste here and give the value as password. Also change the ID password and for value password. Save this file, go to browser, refresh, and you can see now we have two fields. First is the username and second is the password. We can also give some information inside this input element so that user have some information what he need to write here. So for this we have another attribute of input which is the placeholder. Inside this we can give some message to the user. Let's say enter username. Save, go to browser, refresh. You can see this placeholder will be shown here, and when user type any value, this placeholder hidden, and if this input is blank, then this placeholder will be visible to the user. This placeholder is not the value of this input, it is just for giving the information to the user. Same way we can add the placeholder for the password. Let's say placeholder, enter password. Save here, refresh. You can see enter username and enter password. We can also give the default values of this input. Let me give one with the value attribute. Save this thing, go to here, refresh, and you can see now this input have this default value which is the John. User can change it if he wants. So sometimes you can see in some websites when you go to the login page, input fields are auto filled, right? And how they autofill, they get the previously saved values and just display to that. If user want, they can use some another account. If they want, they can continue with that, so that this gives the facility to the user, so he don't need to write again and again thing. If he again refresh this value is available. If he want, he can remove this and edit some other values. So for now we don't require this is just an example. This, okay. Now we want to add one button, so for that we simply add the input element with type submit, so that this form is submit. And for this we also need to give the value attribute so that the submit button have some message to the user. Let me I give the value submit or maybe login. Save this thing, go to browser and refresh. You can see here we have a button which is the login button, and here we have this complete login form. Now user can enter this his username, his password, and then tap on the login button, so that this form is submitted to the server, and server process that things. If user authenticate, then we get some response from the server and we can respond accordingly. That is just out of the scope of this video. We will discuss that thing in the next videos, right? So this is the simple example of few inputs. As you can see, for some, if you use the websites and login page, you when you type in the password, then the texts are not visible to you, right? We can do that thing as well. using the type attribute only. So what we did, instead of giving the text, we give the type value as the password. Now if we save this form, go to browser, refresh, go to the password field, and now if I tap, you can see the texts are not visible, only these dots are shown. Okay, so this way you can hide or add the security so that another person does not know what letter is typed, and this is the exact password type. So this thing you will get with the input type password value, and this is the simple text. Here user can also add the email this way, right? And this way he can enter the password. Tap on this button, this form is submitted into the server, and we will get according to the response. As we create only this HTML file, so this form is not submitted yet. So for this video, that's all. In the next video, we will discuss some more input types like date, radio button, checkboxes. If you have any question till now, you can comment on this video and I will take all your questions in the next videos. And if you like this video, then like it and as well as share with your friends and colleague. And if you want to the updates for my channels, you can subscribe my channel so that you can get the next videos easily. For now, that's it. Bye bye guys.